If you're an agency owner or a founder and you or your sales team still spend 10 to 15 hours every single week taking unqualified demo calls with leads that fall outside of your ICP and are never likely to close, in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a super powerful AI lead qualification system using AI and N8n in order to actually score the leads based on whether they're a fit for your business and only send them through to you if they're a good fit. This is a system I've built out for my own AI consultancy, and I've also helped business owners across different industries implement this into their own system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my screen and show you an overview of how the system works. We're then going to get into a live demo so you can see what this would actually look like for yourself. So to build out this lead qualification system, we're going to be using an automation software called N8n. And essentially the first step in our process here is going to be some kind of trigger for when a new demo call gets booked. Now, this can vary depending on the kind of calendar software that you use for your business. For this example in particular, I'm going to be using cal.com, but you can use lots of different things, including Calendly, Squarespace, Go High Level, etc. But essentially, this is going to trigger when a new demo call gets booked. And if I go to here, this is what the actual form is going to look like. So we're going to get the first name, last name, business email, phone number, company name, company website, and the job title. Now, depending on the ICP you're looking to target and the kind of people you're actually looking to work with in your business, every single person is going to have specific qualifying criteria that would actually make someone a good fit. But for this example here and something that I actually use for my own business, this is essentially what it looks like. So the first step in the process here is an AI module that actually classifies the lead based on whether they submitted their information from a valid business email. Now, the reason I've done this is so we can filter out all the people that submitted from a personal email or they don't have a valid email. And that's obviously going to get rid of a lot of the people that are going to be a valid fit for my business, since I only work with B2B companies. So if I go into the AI module here, it's just a simple AI prompt that asks the AI to classify whether the email address is a business or work email. So I've given it a few examples of personal emails, and I've also given it a few examples of what a company domain could look like. And then from there, it's just going to output true or false based on whether the lead actually submitted it with a valid email. Now, what's going to happen from there is if it's a valid email, it's going to go ahead and move to the next stage. But if not, it's going to go ahead and disqualify the lead straight away. So it's going to cancel the demo call. It's going to add them to a long-term nurture pipeline where we can send them materials and stuff to go over that might make them a fit down the line. And then finally, we're going to send them a polite cancellation email just to basically say that we don't think it's the right fit and we don't want to waste your time. And then the next step here is to actually check that we're within a region that we're actually looking to target. So for example, for my business and a lot of the people that I work with, the kind of ICP of what they're looking to target is companies based within the US, the UK and Canada, perhaps even Australia and Europe some of the time. But essentially what we're doing here is we're just checking that the number they actually signed up with actually falls within a region that we can actually work with. That way we don't waste time with companies or people that fall outside of our ICP and don't actually have a high likelihood of buying from us. So this is just a simple rule-based module to essentially check that their phone code falls within an area that we can target. And then the next step in the process here is to actually go ahead and scrape all of the data from their company homepage that they actually submitted on the form. So that way we can actually take all of that information from the company page. We can use that to analyze it with AI, and then we can use AI to compare their company details with the ICP criteria that we've defined. And then it's going to be able to score the lead based on whether they're a business that we actually want to work with and whether they're a business that falls within the criteria that we're looking for. So for example, if you work with B2B SaaS businesses, for example, if you scrape the website data and you find out that they're a plumbing business or an architecture business, it's obviously not going to be a good fit and that's going to give it a low score. However, if you see that they're a SaaS business that operates within the exact kind of niche that you're going after, this is obviously going to give them a much higher score. So we take that scraped data, we then take all of the information we stored in our database for who our ICP are. So we can then plug that into the AI module here to basically compare the data from the homepage that we defined, to then give the lead a score from 1 to 5 based on whether they're a fit or not. So if I pull up the prompt here and show you kind of what this looks like. So we've given the AI scoring rules here. So a 5 means an exact industry match, whereas 0 means a clear non-fit industry. And just some examples. For this example in the video here, we're actually going to be targeting marketing agencies in the B2B space. So an example 5 would be a marketing agency selling services to business, whereas a 0 would be a local service business like a restaurant or a pet store. And this would obviously disqualify the lead. And then what we've actually given it is we've given it the scrape website data that we did in the previous step. We've also plugged in our exact ICP scoring criteria from the database. And what this is going to do is it's then going to output a score from 0 to 5 that tells us whether the lead is a good fit for our business or not based on their industry. Now, once we've used AI to define whether they're a fit based on the industry that we're in, we're actually then going to define a score based on their job role. So for example, you might be looking to target founders, CEOs, CMOs of a company. So if someone signs up for a demo call, but their role within the business is at much lower levels, so they don't have decision-making power and they can't actually influence outcomes, this is going to give them a much lower score compared to someone like a founder or a CEO who can actually make decisions within a business. So once again here, using the actual job title that they signed up with, what we're going to go ahead and do is score how well the lead's job role matches our ICP. So a 5 based on this example that I've just given is a founder, a CEO or an agency owner, whereas something that might be a 0, it might be a student, a recruiter, HR, etc. And once again, we're going to give them a score from 1 to 5 based on their role and how well they fit into our ICP profile. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add up their scores and get a total score out of 10. And from there, we can actually route the lead based on whether they're a fit or not. So something that classes qualified in this workflow is anything that lands above a 7 out of 10. So if they score a 7 out of 10 on all of these criteria, what we're then going to do is we're going to add them to our pipeline. We're going to send them a confirmation email just to tell them your call is confirmed. Here's how you can actually prepare for the call. And then what we can do is we can then notify yourself or a member of your sales team that's going to be taking the call in a Slack channel just to give them all of the information around the call and help them prepare for the call. So you've got the name, the email, all of the details they submitted here, what their score is, and also the link to join the meeting. Now we've also got a section here for if a call needs review. So this is where we want some kind of human in the loop to actually further qualify the lead. So if they actually score between 4 to 6 out of 10, what we can do is we can add them to the stage in our CRM and our pipeline that basically says needs review. So we can send them a confirmation email just to say your call is confirmed, but our member of our team is actually going to reach out to ask you some further questions and get to know whether you're a fit for our business or not. And then what we can do is we can send this to a separate Slack channel that basically notifies yourself or a member of your sales team to basically say you've got a new demo call booked, but you're going to need to further qualify this lead to find out if they're a fit or not. Then you can confirm the sales call or you can actually disqualify it. So you can see here, manual review required. You've got all of the information on the lead. You've got when the call's scheduled for, the booking link, and then just gives them an option to actually approve the call or cancel the call based on whether they think it's a good fit or not. And this is going to allow you to save tons of time on those ambiguous leads that you're not too sure whether they're actually a fit or not for your business. And then finally, if a lead scores between 0 and 3 out of 10, we bring it all the way back to this disqualify section. So we're going to go ahead and cancel the demo call. We're going to add them to some kind of long-term nurture pipeline. And then we're going to send them a polite cancellation email. So based on my own business criteria and how I define my ICP, this is the specific qualifying criteria that I've actually lined out. How you'd actually go about building a system like this for your business that actually fits into your ICP. What you actually want to do is clearly define your ICP and what is the criteria that's actually important for you when it comes to defining what a qualified lead looks like. So I've given you some examples here of how I would define a qualified lead in my business. Just to give you an example, if you work with a specific size businesses, what you might want to do is you might want to scrape their LinkedIn profile, actually pull the data on how many employees they have, their specific growth plans and all that kind of stuff. And then you'll be able to reverse engineer that into your workflow to actually build out the specific criteria that's going to allow you to qualify those leads. And then like I said down here, once you've actually defined all this stuff, what you can then do is you can store this information in an internal database that you can then pull within your workflow. And then you can reverse engineer this criteria in the workflow with clear logic and scoring criteria that would then route the lead depending on your specific ICP fit. So just to run through a quick example of what this would actually look like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to pull up a random example of a marketing agency in this case, just so we can get an example of what a qualified lead would look like within the system. I'm then going to plug it in, I'm going to book in an example demo call, and I'm going to show you what this would actually look like in practice. So if I go to Google here and I'll just type in digital marketing agency based in London, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up a random example that we can actually use here. Now let me just see if I can find some contact information that I can actually plug into this. So what I can do is I can just copy their domain here. I'm just going to plug this into here. The reason I'm doing this is just so I can show you an example of what a company would actually look like. So I'm just going to type in the company name. Let's pretend that the CMO reached out And for the business email, I'm just going to type in a dummy business email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and submit this to book a new demo call. Now, if we go back to the actual N8n workflow here, we can see what it's actually doing. So we've validated that I've submitted a business email from an actual business email domain. We've checked the phone code to make sure we're actually in the right region that we're targeting. We've then scraped the company's homepage. We've gathered all that information. We've pulled our ICP data from our actual database that we're using to define our ICP. We've then gone ahead and scored the lead based on the industry that they're in, but also their job role. And then from there, it's gone ahead and sent that through to the qualified pipeline. So if I show you what that looks like, if I come over to the actual demo CRM that I've set up for this video, you can see here it's actually populated it into the demo book section of the qualified pipeline. So if it was in the need review, it would actually come and populate here into the need review section, but we've actually populated it into the demo booked. And then if we go ahead and open up the demo Slack channel, I've actually gone ahead and created for this video. We can see here, we've got a new demo call booked in, and it gives us all the lead details, when the call is actually scheduled for, and the calendar link to actually go ahead and join that call. And then if I come here into my emails, you can see we've just sent over a simple email saying, "Hi John, your demo call is confirmed for Tuesday, January the 13th at 11:30 a.m. So that's essentially what this would look like for a qualified lead. The process is the exact same for the actual review section as well. So if we'd come into here, it would just populate a message into this demo review channel where it'd actually tell you to go ahead and reach out to the lead. I'll just run you through quickly what the actual workflow looks like. So in the first step here, I've gone ahead and set up a trigger with our call booking software. And this is going to trigger anytime a new demo call gets booked. And it's going to go ahead and populate all of the lead details in here. So you can see here, we've got all of the lead details that we can then go ahead and put through the qualification process. From there, we're going to go ahead and classify the lead. Basically, it's going to output true if it's a valid business email, but if it's a personal email like a Gmail or a Yahoo, it's going to go ahead and automatically disqualify it. From there, we've got a simple script that just checks whether a phone code actually falls within the region that we're looking to target. So for this example, we're just looking at +1, +44, and +61. And this is just going to give us country codes that fall within the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia. Now, if that's valid, it's going to go ahead and move it to the next stage. But once again, if that's false and we have someone from outside of that area, it's going to go ahead and cancel the demo call. Now from there, what we're essentially doing is we're just doing a HTTP request that's going to allow us to scrape all of the website data from the actual homepage. From there, what it's essentially going to give us is going to give us a long list of HTML, as you can see here. Now, this isn't great to actually plug into the AI because it uses a lot of data and it's not so easy for the AI to actually understand what's being said. So what I'm essentially doing here is I'm using a simple script just to convert this HTML into text that we can actually use with the AI, as you can see here. And then what we're doing is we're grabbing all of our ICP data that I've actually gone ahead and stored in the database. So if I come into my Airtable database here and actually go to the data, what I've done here is I've just given it a brief explanation of what a qualified lead actually looks like. And I've stored this in the database so we can actually use it in all of our workflows. So you can see here for the ICP industry profile, we've just got a simple explanation on the actual industries that we work within. Obviously, you want this to be a lot more detailed, but for the demo here, I'm just giving you a brief overview of what you can actually do using systems like this. And then once again, we've got a natural ICP role profile that basically tells the AI the kind of roles that we work with, but also the kind of roles that we're looking to avoid. And what we can then do is we can plug this into our workflow by basically calling the Airtable database and pulling the data here. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be plugging this into the next AI module. And it's basically going to be comparing our industry ICP definition with the company website text that we scraped. Now, once we've done that, we're going to be able to get a score out of 10 on how this lead ranks based on our specific qualifying criteria. Now, based on the business that you have, you might have different thresholds for what actually makes a qualified lead for you and what you actually want to do with this lead. But for this specific example, and the example that I use within my business, if the lead scores a 7 out of 10, what I'm basically doing is I'm adding it to the qualified pipeline, sending them through a confirmation email, and then notifying myself in Slack. And if it falls somewhere in between a 4 to 6 out of 10, basically doing the same thing, but it's adding it to a review pipeline. And then I can go ahead and reach out the lead to further qualify them. And then, like I said, if it falls between 0 and 3 out of 10, it's basically going to disqualify the lead straight away and send them through to a long-term nurture campaign. Now, something you might notice from this workflow is it's very rule-based and logical. I'm not using any crazy AI agents that have to decide for themselves. Everything is very binary and true or false within this workflow. When you're actually using AI agents to qualify leads, a lot of the time that can introduce a lot of variance into the process, and it's not going to give you repeatable and reliable results. So the more confined and the more defined that you can actually keep it, the better this is going to be for your business workflow and the less errors and fixes you're going to have to make to it. This is an example of a kind of qualifying system that you can build within your own business, and you can integrate this into your existing CRM, into your existing booking software, and actually start to build this out for yourself in order to save yourself more time and actually take demo calls with the leads that matter within your business. So I'm going to leave a link down below of the actual system I've used here, so you can go ahead and copy and paste this into your own N8n workflow. But if you want someone to actually come in and build this out for you based on your own business use case and make sure you get the best possible results for your qualifying system, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link down below where you can actually go ahead and book in your own demo call. And on the call, we can run through together one-on-one on how to actually implement this